Hey guys, so I am here at Brennevikssanden in northern Norway. I've had my eyes on this place for a long time and now finally I'm here. And this place is truly stunning. This is a beautiful white beach quite far north in Norway, surrounded by mountains, almost 360-degree view around. And now it's time to capture it. In today's episode, I want to talk a little bit about circling with a drone. So I remember when I was starting out with flying drones, I never really knew how to fly them, what moves to create, and one very good way to start is to circle around objects. It gives a really cool effect to your video footage, and you've probably seen many clips where the drone is circling around a subject. Beaches like this can be a little bit difficult to capture because they're just so big and wide. First you have the large beach and then they're surrounded by mountains and then the ocean, and you want to be able to capture it all. And that's when the circling effect comes in really handy because you get 360-degree view of the place and you really capture the beauty of the whole thing. I've captured a few of clips like this, even in Iceland on the black sandy beaches, and this content has always performed really well. So to best suit this beach, I think it would be really good to have someone walking along the beach while I circle around that person with a drone. I'm gonna ask Leo to walk on the beach, and then I'm gonna circle manually around him. However, the drone also has an option of doing this automatically. So if I want to capture myself, and let's for example say that I'm alone, I will use this effect, and I'm also going to show you how to do this with an automatic setting in the drone, which is also a brilliant feature, and I wouldn't hesitate using that one. Circling manually with a drone is something that I think is very important to learn. It takes a little bit of practice to learn this, but after you've practiced for a little bit, you will get the hang of it. So you need to fly very smooth, but still keep the subject in the center of the footage. Because if you don't keep it centered, you notice it in the footage and it just gets a little bit hard for the eye to watch. But if the subject is perfectly in the center the whole time, it becomes really nice to watch it and a good piece of footage. Especially if you plan to use the footage for a reel or a TikTok, it's even more important to have the subject in the middle, because then you maybe get 15 seconds of the subject in the middle, which you can then cut into portrait mode. And if the person is not in the middle, it's harder to cut the footage into portrait mode, and then you might have to use keyframes in Premiere Pro to fix it, but we'll talk about that later in the editing course. I highly recommend to go out and practice manual circling. Do tight circles, wide circles, slow circles, and with a bit of practice you'll get the hang of it and become better with each time. So here I'm gonna send Leo out to the beach and I'm gonna do the circle around him while he is walking on the beach. The other option is to let the drone do the circle for you. The DJI drone has a really good feature for this. However, this feature has its limitations, and that's why it's also good to know how to do it manually. One limitation is that you need to be at least 2 meters high, and sometimes circling from a really low angle can look cool, but the automatic feature only allows you to be at the minimum 2 meters high. So if you want to get any lower than that, you have to do it yourself. Another limitation of this feature is that I feel that the drone cannot follow you in circles while you're moving. And that can look really cool, for example, when a person is walking on the beach, to make the drone circle around you, but then you need to widen the circles each time or like move with the subject. And I feel like the automatic function doesn't manage to keep up and loses you, and then you have to start over again. However, if you're standing still, I feel like this function works really well. And then the circles, they turn out quite perfect. So I'm gonna try both so we can compare the difference. So in order to do a circle, go to the shooting menu and then select circle. Simply mark yourself or the subject that you have and press start. You can set the direction and you can set the speed. One benefit of the auto circling is that you can control the altitude, so you can go up and down, and this can add a dimension to the film. One benefit of making the drone automatically circling for you is that the drone can be circling around the object, but you can set the altitude. So while the drone is circling, you can move the drone up or down, and this can actually give a really nice effect. And this is hard to do manually, and I would probably do the automatic circling, and then I would control the altitude myself. And yeah, this can turn out really good. And it's of course a good idea to keep an eye on the drone when you are circling. Circles are a typical way to crash your drone, especially like side movements, backwards and circle movements. It's normally how you crash your drone. So before you do that circle, just make sure that there's nothing in the way, like power lines or big mountain cliff that you can crash into, and set your circle accordingly.